See, if you don't allow it, nobody can see it. So all this time nobody's seen it. Yeah, you gotta let.
Has that been a change for them?
Facebook changed it. And they also changed whenever you post, you gotta go in there and change it to public because if you don't, it doesn't allow me to share your stuff. I can't share your stuff. I tried sharing it, just disappeared because
Okay.
it's not. You're not.
Yeah.
And then it also takes away the share button. But then if you put it to public, it puts the share button back. It's a fucking piece of shit.
No kidding. That drives me crazy. Absolutely, and good morning, everybody. It's a Friday, November. I want to go farther and faster ahead. It's August 18th, right here at KUHSdenver.com, and you're listening to 360 Mindset Performance Talk. We've got United in Orange this morning because the season is about ready to start. We've got a game this weekend on Saturday. That's tomorrow with the San Francisco 49ers, with the Broncos out there. They've been out there all week. Hopefully, I'm going to put a shout out there, and hopefully, with this shout out to Shaq Barrett, we'll get Shaq on the show and talking about what his activities are and his next step after coming away from a summer rehab in surgery. He's doing great. We're going to talk about today our major focus. Our theme today is initiative. Now, I'm excited about this because this is what I'm all about. I take steps every day to be first in what I need to do for me and my priorities. Not in a selfish way, but with a swagger that's self-aware. I'm aware of who I am, and I'm putting my step forward in a positive way. And that's initiative. Being first in your actions to finish your agenda. Initiative. And we're going to build on what we talked about last week with courage and confidence when we talked to Josh Copeland. So we're going to talk about initiative today. And before we do that, I'm going to give you some insights on someone that I really respect a lot. I've had a chance to work with him for a long, long time and respect everything that he does. And recently, Curtis Granderson he took a step out. He took initiative, which most pro athletes, and in particular pro baseball players, don't do. He walked through the Mets organization, thanking everybody in the organization for their help and support. And he does it because of something he puts in his hat for every game. Let him tell you what he does.
Street. We won yesterday against the Angels. Just like that, things switch and change up for you. If you guys know, believe me about having fun, and that's one of the most important things. I want to show you guys something real quick. Underneath my game hat, even to this day, I have the written underneath there. If you guys can see this, it says, "Don't think, have fun." That's something I still rock, wear, believe to this day. Don't think, have fun. Go out there, enjoy it, get a chance to play baseball.
Hi, Lily. Good morning.
All right, that was Curtis Granderson, and I apologize if anybody didn't get all of what he said, but let me just tell you this. Every single game, he's consistently initiating, taking his own personal initiative on his agenda that is action for him to finish. It's with courage and confidence that he does this. And when he was first in the league as a rookie, back in the day, he would do things like that, and somebody might see his hat on the bench and give him a little bit of grief for that. But they didn't understand that kind of behavior and that kind of consistency brings him forward to the time that he's at right now. He's one of the senior statesmen in Major League Baseball and still performing at a level of excellence that engages him with his teammates in the locker room as well as his competitor on the field. He is well respected because he took initiative. So that sets us up for our first segment, Mindset. Mindset is the place where we want to start in getting ourselves ready for the day. I'm going to just give you some examples of people that have taken initiative with a mindset that they work their agenda in taking actions to finish. Now, here's some examples of that. ESPN Fighting Magazine, or ESPN Magazine, has their fighting edition, and it is the, let me get the date on this, the August 21st edition, and here's what's on the cover. Now, our international audience, they know about this. They see it. Our domestic audience, I'm sure you see these things. But what's interesting is now we have a UFC fighter who's on the cover, and he's looking at a contest with Merriweather. Now, that in itself is an issue to take a look at. So take a look at this ESPN issue and listen or look and read what's going on here with this. But these are individuals who take initiative every single time they enter the ring. And we had one of those here last week with Josh Copeland. But just take a look at what they do here. Now, this is the fold out, and they're calling these guys artists. Now, if we get really close and tight on their faces, you can see that, yeah, you might think, well, how much of an artist are they really? Well, it takes a little bit of initiative to put your face in front of something coming at you at the speed and power of a fist or a foot or an elbow in the ring. And by the way, they call those rings of competition, the fighting ring, a cage, because literally it's surrounding you with the cage. There's no roof on it, but you're not getting out. Once they lock it up, you're in there for the fight. Whether you're going to submit or you're going to be knocked out or you're going to get injured, whatever the case may be, that in itself, that act in itself takes initiative and a great deal of courage. And if you noticed on their faces, there was some marked up individuals there. Let me just point out to you, there are some of those young people there. There's a young lady there on the cover, and she is, she says she KOs all the girls, and she is the baddest fighter on the planet, Chris Justino. My goodness, yes, indeed. She is quite the young lady. Chris the Cyborg, Justino. She gets after it. And I'm bringing these examples up, not necessarily that you might like UFC fighting or not, but the fact that that sport exists is because there's these courageous athletes who train very, very hard to be where they're at. And as Josh Copeland said last week, he said, you know, once he leaves the ring and takes that initiative to get in the ring and goes home, he's dad, as are each one of these individuals. They are human beings that have a desire. They've taken initiative to train at a level and with an attitude, a mindset to get in the ring and compete. Well, here's another example of mindset that takes initiative. And he's right on this station, KUHSdenver.com, every Monday. And that's the G, the cut man, master cutter, Mr. G, barbershop guy. Whatever name you want to throw at him, he is taking initiative to be his own definition of what it means to be in a barbershop, salon, what have you. And he's setting the stage. I give him a little bit of grief about the flat top, but he brought that back. And people were looking at him like, what are you, crazy? That's not going to fly. And sure enough, when he combines the mix of current day cuts, the making images with the cuts that he makes and the lines he cuts in people's hair, along with the flat top, he uniquely addresses the needs of that individual. He took initiative. He is fighting against the mainstream. Here's another one of our local guys, Von Miller. Von Miller, the master of dance. He started the routine as a defensive person, a linebacker. He took initiative because that's who Von Miller is. It's his agenda to take action to a finish that prescribes and defines who he is. That's Von Miller. Mention Josh Copeland. Josh Copeland is one of those people as well. Here's another person, well, actually a group of people. We talk about mindsets and courage in performing at a level that helps them be more of who they are. And that's North Koreans who are migrating, you know, escaping. They are refugees, if you will, to South Korea. The South Koreans now, they don't push those people away. They welcome them. In fact, they welcome them to the point, in contradiction to what our current administration leaders are doing in fighting the breaking down of statues that remind us of traitors during the Civil War. The South Koreans are actually putting up statues on their mass transit system to honor the women who have taken initiative to leave North Korea, because women in North Korea are objectified. and put out in public as though they're dolls to be cherished. Now, one might think, well, that's a good thing, cherish their doll, they're so cute, they're so wonderful, but they have no identity. There's nothing about who they are to allow them to initiate their feelings, initiate their skill sets. So South Korea is taking a different approach to welcoming the refugees from North Korea who are being oppressed in that country. We have a lot to learn in our country about what it means to be a champion, what it means to take initiative, and the courage it requires to do that, the mindset. Now, I rant on. I'm going to take a pause, take a big breath. I talk about breathing all the time on the show about how it helps to center who you are and what you do. But those are some examples of people that have demonstrated a very, very focused intent on initiating who they are and the actions it takes for them to finish an agenda that is uniquely their own. As you watch the news and hear the stories about what went on in Charlottesville, you'll hopefully hear the stories of the strength and power of the will of those in Charlottesville and the college community that's around there on the peaceful nature in which they're addressing the trauma and the distress that's happened there. That also takes initiative and has a certain type of very courageous mindset to maintain that. As I talk to people in my performance consulting practice, I talk to them about all different kinds of influences, people and things that influence them to take initiative. Sometimes it's taking initiative after that initial push, when it's courage or confidence, or it's visualizing a situation in a competitive setting. I don't know that there would have been any amount of imagining what would go on in Charlottesville that would have prepared anybody for the car driving down the street hurting people, or in Spain, in Barcelona, when the people were run down by someone who has initiative that is not from a positive place. One thing that's interesting about the words I say is many times there is no determination about right or wrong. It just is. Initiative just is. And people pick initiative in different ways. One of my mentors would say to me, he says, you know, do you have values? And I said, oh, sure, I got values. And values can be part of a very positive group that prays, or a positive group that raises money or helps build houses. Positive values. I value my home. I value food and feeding others. So I'm going to go out and raise money for getting food for people. But at the same time, I could also have values to raise money, but the way I do it isn't very pleasant. Gangs in big cities, they raise money for food, but how they do it may not be acceptable for everybody. So values, you know, we choose our values. One of the things I want to mention here with our mindset segment on initiative is the principles behind the values and the courage and confidence it takes to initiate something. A principle for everybody out there is if you throw something up in the air and you let it fall, it's going to fall to the ground. Now, if I do that here in Denver, Colorado, or if I do it in Chicago, Illinois, or Barcelona, Spain, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to go up and it's going to come down. That's a principle. That's called gravity, the principle of gravity. That no matter where you are, who you're with, that particular behavior is the same. And that's different than values, because I can choose values that aren't the same as everybody else. But when it comes to gravity, we don't have any choice. It is what it is. I try to look for principles when I look for the courage and confidence to initiate something. What are the principles that drive me? What are the desires inside of me that are represented in principles? Well, it's sometimes hard to identify those things, and I've spent a long time analyzing the desires and drivers in human beings to see which ones are the ones that are the most positive, that get us to the place we need to be. And with that being said, let me just take a brief breath and share some things with you about measuring those principles and seeing what we can do to get an idea about what really drives us. And when we do that, we're talking about breathing. And that's why I'm playing that song in the background. But also I'm talking about the RMP16. The RMP16 is a measurement tool that I use to identify human desires. So if you go to my website at 360mindset.com, take a look at the RMP tab and just read what that's all about, or listen to the video I've got on my homepage about the reasons why you do that. Now, in doing that, understand that this is going to define a unique path of what your priorities are and how you personally choose what you want to do and why you want to do it. So that when you're interacting with people with that insight, you're going to be able to be more effective in your behaviors with those people. And you're going to have a clearer picture of your own personal initiative. So I encourage you, take a look at the RMP16 on my website, 360mindset.com. You're listening to KUHSdenver.com and the 360 Mindset Performance Talk. I'm your host, Lowell Whiteman, and we're trying to breathe here. Now, as we say that, I want to make sure we also look at the things that fuel you up, get you energized for each day. Because sometimes, man, you take some initiative, you're going to need some fuel, some nutritional oomph during the day. And I'm going to ask you to listen to our 90-second in piece from Nikki Burnett, our nutritionist that supports what we do here at 360 Mindset Performance Talk. And let Nikki share with you what she thinks about the most effective snacks that you can carry with you when you have that need for a little bit of an energy boost.
Hi, Lowell, and good morning, everyone. This is Nikki Burnett with Taste Life Nutrition, and what a great question you have regarding what kind of foods we want to keep in our backpack for quick support. I know if I'm traveling, if I'm in the mountains backpacking, I always want to have some healthy, nutrient-dense foods that I can reach for in a pinch. So the things that I look for first would be jerky. Any kind of jerky is great because it's high in protein, but we want to make sure it's healthy. And what I mean by that is if we're looking for beef jerky, we want it to be 100% grass-fed. If we're looking for turkey jerky, we want it to be 100% pasture-raised. Bison jerky is a great option because legally it has to be 100% grass-fed. And then there's salmon jerky, as long as it's wild caught, is great because it's high in protein and high in omega-3 fatty acids. Another thing that I'll do is have raw nuts and seeds on hand. They're high in fat, high in fiber, so they can give a good energy boost as well as keep you satiated. A lot of times I'll also add dried fruit. As long as there's no added sugar, dried fruit is a great option to add to your trail mix. Lastly would be coconut flakes. I like coconut flakes because they're lightweight, but they're really high in good, healthy fats. So you can take those coconut flakes. You could also add those to your trail mix, and that would be a really great option. So thank you so much, and I look forward to talking to all of you again soon.
Well, that was Nikki Burnett. She's one of our great additives to the 90-second in messages. And as she said, she was telling us about all those wonderful natural sources of protein that will help you get that boost when you need it, carry it around in your backpack or your gym bag. I'm always amazed at the different sources of protein, and I've recently found my source of grass-fed beef jerky. I'm going to be looking for the bison jerky as well, since we have that available to us readily here in Colorado. The other thing that was always interesting to me is the coconut flakes. I like coconut, but I never thought of it as being a good, healthy source of energy and protein for my quick needs when I'm out there working out. So that's Nikki Burnett. Reach out for her on the internet. You know, as many people say, Google her. That's Nikki, Nikki Burnett. Nikki Burnett, our friend here, a nutritionist for 360 Mindset Performance Talk. Okay, we're into our skills segment. One of the things I want to make sure we emphasize, especially to our international audience, is practicing priorities. Be aware. Awareness in your environment that you're in is critical for you just getting better at your hand-eye coordination. You know, and I'm not talking about anything necessarily complicated. I mean, it could be hand-eye coordination, just getting your keys out and getting your keys out quickly enough to put it in the lock of your car, or push the button. You know, and a lot of cars don't have the key anymore. It's not a key you put in the lock. You just push a button and it opens it up. hand-eye coordination for a task that seemingly are that simple, but being aware of those things. I know for many of us, if you, in the morning, if you're going to your favorite coffee place, you're seeing people balancing all kinds of things in their hands, in addition to the car keys, that special latte that they just got at their favorite coffee place. When I get into the skills section after mindset, I start thinking about my mission, the mission I'm on to help people define and then practice the unique skills that define who they are, because it's really hard to take initiative if you don't know the direction you want to go in. So here's some ideas on practicing. And they're really centered around your 5 senses. So we got smell, you got taste, you got hearing, those are 3. You got touch. Now what's that 5th one? Let's see, smell, taste, hearing, feeling is 4. Gosh, what's that 5th one? Well, let's think about that a minute and just talk about those 4 for just a second, and we'll come back to that. Oh yeah, I got it. I got to see things. Well, sometimes if you take that see thing away, the other 4 get more sensitive. We'll talk more about that in just a second. But I want to come back to the combining senses together, hand and eye coordination. And it doesn't necessarily mean the touch as much as it means with the eyes and the brain in the middle. Think of that image, eyes, the brain in the middle that activates all of it, and the touch. In the athletic world, that happens a lot. Reaction time, response time, whatever label you want to put on it. We're trying to get skills going that are going to help you enhance those nervous or nerve endings, the myelin in your body, to get more sensitive, build up more myelin synapses that go across to activate muscles. So you can do things like clicking your fingers and then click them as fast as you can. That's a very simple hand-eye coordination type of thing. Another thing to do is close your eyes, but your eye, the sensory element of your eye is emblazed an image in your mind about where your nose is. Now, maybe some of you have done this when you've been overserved, perhaps, and you're outside of your car on an evening of fun. Well, I'm not asking you to do it then. I'm asking you to do it when you're totally in control of your senses. So you close your eyes, you put your hands out with your fingers up outside right within your shoulder blades, and all you're going to try to do is touch your nose, come back to the spot as quickly as you can. And what happens sometimes, you fall short because you're trying to imagine from your visual impression in your mind from what you see is to where your nose is, and sometimes you'll miss it. The faster you go, oh, I missed it, I went underneath my nose. So that's a very simple, just practice hand-eye coordination kind of thing. Now, for you folks that are going to be in locker rooms that have heard this, and your teammates may not have heard this, and you say, yeah, I could like getting, myself activated, my brain activated to increase my hand-eye coordination, because, I'm a basketball player and I'd like to be able to, catch, pass, dribble, shoot a little bit more effectively. But you do it in the locker room and all of a sudden your teammates go, what are you doing? Well, this is a way for you to take initiative. You find something that relates to you, and it may not get looked upon by others as interesting or cool or whatever you want to call it. But it's something that for your agenda, it works. It fits you. It may not fit everybody else, but it fits you. And that's where initiative begins, when it's your agenda for taking action to finish. I want to finish. I want to be my best. I've practiced these skills. I want to be my best. So again, some more skills on being effective, but taking initiative. And the first place that's going to push back at you in taking initiative might be even your teammates. All right, so another couple things. Make a little imaginary goalpost in front of you. Fingers out like this, like 2 L's, okay? And what you're going to try to do is the right hand is the one you're going to want to try to bring the left hand finger over to. So what's going to happen is you're going to feel like you're crossing your eyes. It's going to feel like that because you want to bring this image over to the right hand image. Now, if this is too far away, then touch your thumbs and see if you can bring those fingers together. Now, what you're doing is causing the visual sense to get stronger. I've said this before. There are 6 groups of muscles in each eye, and they are the ones that control looking up, looking down on an angle, both angles this way, side to side, up and down. So you want to strengthen that. Many baseball players that struggle with hitting, many times the root of the struggle is based on one of the five senses. And so if they want to initiate a good swing and take action on a good swing to an off-speed pitch out on the outside third of the plate, and they're going to want to have that good muscle control, because they won't be able to take initiative in a way that's timing enough to make the contact. Remember, sweet contact in baseball is the size of a dime. Now, for our international audience, it could be in cricket, or it could be in golf. Whatever you're trying to do, golf is just a lot like baseball. It's a very small space to get true contact, and yet you've got other factors like the twist of the wrist, the rotation of the hips, lots of different things that will influence that true contact. If those hips are open too late or too soon, stuff happens. You know what I'm talking about, you golfers out there. It either goes like that or it goes like that instead of like that. So initiative isn't just a manifestation of a thought that gives you desire to do something. It many times culminates itself in a specific action because the muscles have been initiated to do something specific. So those skill sets that I'm talking about here, those simple little drills, and other things that we've talked about in the past, skills like play a game, play chess, play checkers, time to focus, my app that I have out there for cognitive stimulation, get your brain active so that you can go do things in a quick way. You're conditioning your brain to respond in a timely fashion. All right, so skill sets. Now, I want to remind you that we're on KUHSdenver.com. Go to the webpage on Facebook, or I'm sorry, not the webpage. Go to Facebook, KUHS Denver, and write your comments in there. Give me your questions. Write something in there. Here, I'm writing something in there right now. I'm writing in, hello, where are you? Hello, where are you? And give me your thoughts. Give me your questions so that I can respond to them now while we're on the air, or I can respond to them later. But at least we've got this dialogue going. I want to hear from you. I really want to hear from you about what you think and your thoughts on initiative. We're talking about initiative. We're in our skills segment for a few more minutes, talking about what that means in taking action on your agenda to finish something that's your priority. It's about you and the way you've practiced and the way you've initiated things. Now, as we're doing that, and you're thinking about that, don't forget to post something on Facebook, on KUHS Denver Facebook page. And I'm going to share with you something I shared last week, but I want to make sure that everybody heard it. And it was about courage, but there was also a lot of thoughts about initiative, especially when you're facing obstacles in your life that seem just overwhelming. You say to yourself, how in the heck do I get through this? Well, Donnell Alexander is working very hard and very diligently to be the best athlete he can be so that he can continue taking initiative to get to where he wants to be with American football. Here's what Donnell has to say about courage and how he takes initiative.
What is your courage? Get your courage. The courage for me starts with two things that come to mind. First off, will have to be my mother and my grandfather. The reason I choose them first is because as a kid, I went through a lot of different stuff. Sometimes that even my best friends don't even know about. Just from being homeless to being without, to being with. Me and my mother literally shared a can of green beans for a week amongst each other, and she never gave up, let alone allow me to. And she encouraged me every day to keep going, chase my dreams, do what I gotta do. She wants the best for me, and just seeing how she didn't let any negative situation affect her in life, no matter what. She'd have been through some things, I'd have been through some things, we've been through things together. And that right there was, for me, that shows me the courage to keep fighting. It makes me want to keep fighting because I promise her that that one day I'm going to be able to get her home. Just something along those lines. Even though she wouldn't care, because she go, love me for how I am. But I just that right there, she just doesn't let me quit, and I've never seen her quit. And right there, that's a source of courage for me. And also my grandfather, man, just the man he was just it's something that's undescribable. He the first one to put a ball in my hand. He the first one that he the first one who I felt truly believed in me, and I still don't know anybody that's prouder of me than he was. He told everybody about me. He just loved the thought of me, man, and so he passed away, and that's always been something I look at as my source of.
Now that's Donnell Alexander. He's currently playing in Mexico. Has some desires to get into the CFL, and I know deep down he wants to get to the NFL and someday play for the Kansas City Chiefs. What he said to you just now and shared with us is the courage and confidence he had gained over the years from people around him. It's difficult to have initiative if you don't have a plan. And he talked about his grandfather, his mom, that showed him a path to take, that they were confident in him, and that confidence was shared in a way that gave him skills that he could practice on his priorities and focus on his five senses and move forward and become a leading running back at Colorado State University. I still have to this day the picture of him scoring the 2-point conversion that tied the game in the New Mexico Bowl. If you ever want to see an exciting game that will get any sports fan, in particular a football sports fan, on their seat, watch it on YouTube and see the Colorado State, Washington State, New Mexico Bowl game in 2013, and you will be just glued to the screen. And especially the 2-point conversion in the last 2 minutes of the game where Donnell Alexander initiated what he had to do to get those points and stretch out for the goalpost marker to score the 2 points. That's initiative. And he shared some insights with you about where that confidence and courage comes for him to initiate his agenda that is specific to what he needs to do to finish. And boy, did he finish. He certainly did. All right. Well, thanks to Nikki Burnett and Donnell Alexander for sharing that with us. We're on KUHSdenver.com, and this is the 360 Mindset Performance Talk. We're talking about performance issues and how you establish a mindset and the skills necessary to move forward with your agenda. We're talking about initiative as being one of those kinds of emotions and sets of actions that does that. If you want more specific training on strategies and methods that will help you become the best that you can be, go to my website and sign up for a consultation. We can do it online, through Skype, through FaceTime, but we can also do it in person. Technology has offered us those opportunities, and I would love to spend some time talking to you. I give everybody 30 minutes of time with me on the phone to investigate the possibilities, and it's not always a fit. Maybe it's the timing, maybe it's the money, but it's not always a fit for everybody. But please, give it a shot. Give me a ring. Send an email to me. Inquire on my website at 360mindset.com for your consultation about being your best. So take initiative on your agenda. All right, our next segment, mental conditioning, the process that it takes to just train yourself, train the brain to make those connections that make a difference. I had a wonderful meeting with a young man here the other day, Fred Cridler. He's a trainer in the Denver area, and he's looking at his path. He's a young man who wants to start a family, and he's looking at having a business that's going to sustain himself economically, he and his wife, so they can do that kind of stuff and have a family. But he wants to do something he loves. He's taking initiative to exercise his skill set. And one of those pieces of initiative is he reached out to me. We had a great coffee and talk about his possibilities. But one of the things that came out is the mental condition that you want to create is in an environment. So I reminded him, just like what Donnell said about the environment when he was growing up, he had people around him that didn't let him go on what his mission was, his vision for himself was. So the mental conditioning scenario I want to talk to you about involves confidence and the how-to. How do you create this environment for prospering the mental condition, which is defined as connecting your actions to your thoughts, and that those actions are purposeful from an intent that you created in your mind. And when we do that, we get down to identifying what do you do best. Now, I've added measurement tools. I've got strategies and methods I use to measure resiliency, mental toughness, human desire. So I add all that data that's real to your behavior. So we really have strong evidence that, hey, this is a behavior, this is a thought process that we want to condition. We want to condition that mental process for you so that you know what it feels like to be your best on a given day. What we call, we have a word we call, it's the zone. We're in the zone. So mental conditioning will result to moments when you know, I'm in the zone. But many times that in the zone feeling comes upon us at a time where we're kind of surprised, like, my gosh, I'm in the zone. I don't know how I got here. And that's the key, is finding out what it is that gets you there so that you can reproduce it over and over again. Now, there's no perfection. There's no absolute. We don't always create it because there's so many factors that might influence getting in the zone. One of the stories that comes to mind for me about someone getting in the zone is Michael Jordan. They were playing Portland Trail Blazers in an NBA playoff series, and Michael was uncharacteristically knocking down a lot of 3 points. And he knocked down, I think, the third in a row. It was a game at Chicago against Portland in the series, and Michael knocks down another 3 from at the top of the key, which is not even an area that he typically shoots in. And he goes back, and the network has a picture of him running back with his hands out like this, like, I don't know where this is coming from. And then and afterwards, the press talked to him as well and said, where is that coming from? Because Michael practiced many hundreds and hundreds of shots, and typically they were in the area that when he penetrates, he'd get space, back off, and shoot, that 12 to 15 foot range. And very seldom was it beyond 3-point range. If it was, it may have been because of desperation or the clock running out or what have you. But here's a time when he at a practice event decided he used to start practicing 3-point shots. And then opportunities came up during the game when they were giving him those shots. And ergo, he took initiative to go kind of outside his comfort zone, and there you have it. He put that mental condition, that mindset that he created around trying something new and putting that in place and staying in that moment with a plan that when the opportunity presented itself, he was prepared for it. Now, before that, he had never done that, but he got it in his head. Hey, look, I think I'll try this. Maybe it was because he saw something on the tape with Portland. They were going to give him those outside shots like that because they knew how deadly he was going inside to penetrate, get space, and shoot or kick to other people. There's the classics with Steve Kerr, where he would penetrate, pull people off. Steve's sitting in the corner, boom, throw the pass to Steve. Steve knocks down a 3. There's been many moments like that throughout the history of the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan that's happened. But we're talking about initiative today. The theme is initiative and the mental conditioning that it requires to get to that place where you are aware of the environment so much so that your confidence and courage is just ever present and overflowing so that you try things. You see opportunities and you try them. It wasn't a coach didn't say, hey, try that. Hey, we have an opportunity there. Go get that. No, you're so self-aware that you see the opportunities that fit your skill set. That's initiative. That's taking initiative. That's being aware of who you are and where you're at in such a way that you don't have to be told. In fact, at the highest levels of competition, if you have to be told, it's too late. You need to continue understanding Who am I? Why am I here? So that you can take initiative. Mental conditioning. So challenge yourself so you are prepared. Here are some examples of some challenges you can take. With an ice hockey player that I have as a client, I took his eyesight away, not literally, blindfolded him, and we call it blind ice. He has to skate backwards. He's a defenseman. Has to skate backwards all the time. He gets criticized. You look too fluid. You're not aggressive enough. And yet when they timed him, he was fast enough, and yet he felt I could be faster. Well, when we took initiative to practice with something that he had never done before, the result was he skated faster and with more confidence in being able to defend while skating backwards against the offense coming at him, to the point where he increased his takeaways. Blind ice. Another example, quarterback has a difficult time. He gets feelings that, the line's breaking down. He starts getting a little active feed. His thinking isn't quite there, so he's concerned about being sacked. Not because he can't take it physically. He's concerned about being sacked because it's not a high-performance incident. So he's got to get over that mental state he's in that environment. When he starts seeing those things happening, he has to get himself into a place where he's still effective. So we did it again. We did blind air. There's a drill called on air, where the quarterback, there's a designated pattern the receivers are going to make. The quarterback knows what they're going to run. The receivers know what they're going to run. And so he's throwing the ball to the receivers. I said, okay, whether it's 3-step drop, 5-step drop, or in the shotgun, we're going to do blind air every time. So he catches the ball, closes his eyes, does his routine, and throws to the pattern. Can you imagine what the quarterback says to me the first time we did this? He says, I can't do that. Can't do that. Well, I said, why not? You do it all the time. You do it hundreds of times, over and over and over again. Why can't you do it now? So I said, just trust me. Just trust me that you're going to have the confidence with your brain. Your brain is mentally conditioned to hit that pattern. Let's say it's a 7 and out or 6 and out, whatever the yardage is the coach calls out for that out pattern. I said, you're going to hit him right in the chest. So it's envision that. So you envision that picture, and sure enough, 3-step drop, close eyes, boom, hits him right on target. Now, what does that give him? It gives him confidence to initiate the pass regardless of the conditions. It's getting your brain conditioned for those circumstances. Mental conditioning. That's what we do. This is our third stage here on KUHSdenver.com. We're talking about mental conditioning on 360 Performance Talk. It's a great day today. Wonderful weather outside. Rode my bike in today with the weather that's so great here in Colorado. And we're going to be going into our last segment here in just a second on performance results. But I want to remind you, as we came out of mental conditioning and the skills set, that on the iTunes website, go take a look at Time to Focus. TIMETO Focus. Time to Focus. That's my app. It promotes and initiates your thinking. It gives you practice to be able to think under pressure of a time constraint and then physically go do something within that time constraint that you're thinking. Those are 3 components of psychological preparation that help you be quicker in your response time, your mental response time, so that you can initiate actions that are on your agenda to finish. If your agenda is throwing a pass, then initiate that agenda with initiative and confidence. If your agenda is to hit a little white ball and hit it in a certain place, that would be another way to mentally condition yourself. And Time to Focus, my app Time to Focus on iTunes, is free. Go take a look at that and see what you think about that app. I'm confident that you will enjoy it. Now, I'm looking at Facebook here on the KUHS Denver Facebook page. I don't have anybody reaching out to me. Come on, people, let's talk to me here. Write a message to me. Share with me what you have to say, what you're thinking about your initiative. Who do you know that is on their path, that you know, that they're always the person that's taking the first step. They're the one always at the front of the line. Hey, I'm going to go do this before anybody else. Or I've got my own original thought and I'm going to go do this. Who do you know? And why are they unique? Why do you think they do what they do? Is it just because they want attention? Or is it because they have a plan, they have a confidence about who they are and what they do, and they're going to make it happen? Well, here's somebody I want to share with you. He's been on the show before. He gave us a 90-second in about his initiative and his taking steps to be the best that he could be during his NFL career. Here's Colin Cole, a retired NFL player, doing some great things on the East Coast. Last time he played was with the Panthers, the Carolina Panthers, and before that it was with the Green Bay Packers. And he is a University of Iowa alumnus, as I am. And here's Colin Cole. As I say that, we're coming to our first break, if you will. But in that break, we're going to talk a little bit about how to get in touch with me, how to get a consultation, so I can talk to you about your confidence and help you move from your shaky confidence. And it's not a bad thing. That's part of shaky confidence, is part of who we are and how we deal with the world. And bringing that to a place where you're stabilizing yourself by understanding the environments and those people and things that influence you. Well, here's some words from somebody who's been on our show before, and that's Colin Cole, NFL alumni who played for the Carolina Panthers and the Green Bay Packers, and a fellow Iowa alumnus as well. Here's what Colin has to say about how he got into becoming confident from the shaky place that we're all at to being a foundationally confident and stable, confident individual.
My name is Colin Cole. I'm a graduate of the University of Iowa and an 11-year NFL alumni. I spent time with the Green Bay Packers, Seattle Seahawks, and the Carolina Panthers. My methods for building confidence in myself and performing at a high level throughout my 11-year NFL career was to always develop the proper routines. Routines are vital in developing confidence for whatever you do in life. For me, in my football career, I developed the same routine day in and day out. Whether it was a practice day or whether it was game day Sunday, I had similar routines. On practice days, I would go out to the field 20 minutes early just so I could hit the sleds. This routine helped me to stay focused and consistent throughout the long NFL season and throughout my career. Game days were much the same. I would show up to the stadium 2 hours early just so I can go through my routines of getting in the hot tub, getting stretched, going out on the field, and going through my running motions. Once I was ready at that point, I went through the routines of putting on my pads and getting my helmet ready. These routines would always give me focus for the game ahead. Develop proper routines, and you will find whatever it is that you're trying to get to.
Well, I tell you what, Colin Cole did a good job of getting into his routines because he was a stalwart defensive end for the Carolina Panthers, and a person, his background was he wasn't gifted a big first-round draft, or he worked a journeyman's journey to get to the NFL and perform at the level that he performed at to earn the rights to play and get compensated for what he did. He's a great friend and a wonderful example of confidence and taking initiative to do the things that he wanted to do. And that leads us into our last segment on performance results. So for Colin Cole, the performance results was great teams wanted him to play for them. He played on Super Bowl teams with the Green Bay Packers, as well as with the Carolina Panthers. So those are performance results. But I think more importantly for Colin, some other performance results are that he had those routines. He trained hard to stay fit and to stay confident in his game. I would ask for those of you to share with me on Facebook, your thoughts about what it is you do to maintain your performance results. And do you have strategies and methods and routines that need to be in place for you to do what you need to do to perform at the highest levels and to take initiative on things that you're trying for the first time? For example, I'm going to give you some examples of performance results so that you can see when you watch, let's say, football this year. We've got a game on Saturday with the Broncos. We got, out the orange is out here. We're united in orange. And examples would be watch players make tackles. Doesn't matter what player it is or for what team. Watch them make tackles. And are they initiating? Now, remember, every tackle is unique. It's not going to be the same thing every time you're going to try to tackle, but it's not the same thing. Different player circumstance, different place on the field. It's always going to have a little different twist to it. But there are certain things that have to happen if you're going to tackle properly and minimize the risk to both you and the person you're tackling, and yet get the job done. So watch those players take that challenge when they're trying to tackle another player. Do they have their head across the body? Are they wrapping with their arms when they finish? Those are things that you can look for to say, that person's initiating their behavior, their agenda for tackling. There's an agenda for tackling. Just like there's an agenda for hitters in baseball. I've dealt with so many baseball players about the mental condition and mindset going into hitting so they can get the performance results that they expect. And many times it involves off-speed pitches. If you know baseball at all or you watch it routinely, you know that the pitcher and catcher are trying to create this out-of-balance rhythm to get the hitter guessing as to what's coming next. We have phrases that we talk about that they're ahead in the count. So a pitcher might be 0-2, they're ahead in the count. 1-2, they're ahead in the count. 2-2, they're even. Or if it's 2-0, they're behind. Well, the same thing could be said for a hitter. A hitter's up at the plate, and he's looking at, he or she, there's also the softball things for women and baseball. We've got a great young woman who took initiative in Little League Baseball to be an outstanding pitcher. I believe she's actually pitching in her high school. But at any rate, talking about the hitter, so you're in there trying to get performance results, and you're going to take initiative. Every time you swing that bat, you're taking initiative to that ball to try to get that maximum true contact on the ball. Well, pitcher's trying to do the opposite, is to fool you. So if you're trying to take initiative on your agenda, there are certain things that have to be in place to get to that point where you're going to make that good contact. We talked a little bit earlier to make the connections between our four sets on the skill side of things, in creating that mindset that leads to the mental condition of the environment of being at the plate, of your eyes, strengthen your eyes so that you can your eyes can initiate the response to the ball in a fashion that's going to make that good contact. So the player at the plate for baseball is thinking about all of these different aspects of the environment. That the mental condition involves your environment. Where am I at on my count? Am I up? Am I down? What kind of a pitcher is this? Are there any tells that they give about glove position or hand positions as to what kind of pitch is going to get thrown at me? All of these things come into play when you're trying to develop that initiative to deliver then the performance results you want. The same thing is true for tennis. Tennis players, the same thing. And yet with them, another piece of that environment between the lines on those court, be it clay, grass, or artificial surfaces, every court's pretty much the same dimensions. And you're trying to play that court and perform within those lines and swing your racket, initiate the contact in a way that's going to determine a certain kind of, maybe it's a top spin, maybe it's under a down spin, based on where the ball was hit to you, so that you're going to put it in a place strategically that you've initiated on an agenda that's going to get a finish you desire, a performance finish that you desire. All right, so there we've talked about connecting performance results as the end result that you want. Now, but those end results aren't necessarily a trophy or a medal, a medallion around your neck. Performance results could be just that sweet feeling you get on initiating a swing at the ball, whether golf or baseball or tennis, lacrosse, cricket, whatever the sport. There's an initial initiation of your actions on an agenda that you have for that particular event that's going to get the results that you prescribe for yourself. And that's with all these four stages we talk about here at Performance 360, 360 Mindset Performance Talk, is about making those connections to all those places so that you can anticipate what your initiative is giving you. I'm going to initiate this great swing, and I'm doing it this way because I've practiced it. I've got skills to take the mindset I have on my strategy to mentally condition myself to execute it the same way every time and get that shot into the court where I want it to go. Or to take that off-speed outer third of the plate pitch and push it to the opposite field where I want to put it. And I know there's a certain set of skills that it takes to do that. One of the things I wanted to mention about the performance results is that every time you have a performance outcome, there is an opportunity to go to the next level and to initiate the next piece of performance, to initiate the next level of energy that particular moment has indicated is available to you. Here's some examples of that. You hit the ball as a baseball player on the sweet spot, and you know from practice and being able to do that it's gonna tail away. And as you run, now that's your next moment to initiate your running skills on a mindset that you've mentally conditioned yourself in that environment when that ball does what it does, that you're looking for an opportunity to initiate you taking the next base. That's what you're looking for. When you have an opportunity in the ring, the arena, we talked about the ESPN fighting issue of August 21st. We brought this in, and we talk about fighters. And in this same article, it's a section that says, how did we get here? And it goes through some of the steps of what we're talking about right now. You're talking about a mindset. We're talking about the theme of initiating in our mindset. And where do we go from there to establish our skills and put them in a place that, in that environment, that mental condition in that environment, in that cage, that we're going to initiate performance results we want. When Josh Copeland was here, we talked about how great he is as a counterpuncher. But he also talked about he can initiate in his practice routines being more offensive and being better at his martial arts and wrestling. He knows there's certain things that he wants to initiate to be better. Well, regardless of whether you're a sport participant, an athlete, pro, amateur, or just recreational, you have the opportunity to initiate after a given event, after a given performance, initiate to the next level. Anticipate where you're going to go from there. Just like what happened this last week in Charlottesville, there's now an opportunity for people to initiate things, behaviors, actions, to bring attention to the mental conditions of people in varying environments that might change their behavior to initiate performance results that will make all of us better and help us understand how we're going to move forward with those around us in a positive way that's healthy and productive, and creates an opportunity for everybody to be their best without being ridiculed, without being evaluated in a negative way about my beliefs. I have beliefs about what I want to do for me. I want to take initiatives that help me to be the best that I can be. And in doing that, it requires support of others. And I need to have the right people around me to do my best and to be positive in the outcomes that I create, because I believe in pushing the circle. It's something I've created with teams I work with. It's basically saying everybody on this team, and let's say it's the team of our world, the team of our community, we're all on this circle together. And when we come in touch with people, we're going to push the circle. We're going to push the person in front of us because I know who they are. I'm taking the initiative to do that, to help them. And as I do that, I'm making sure that I'm taking the time it's necessary to breathe and to be part of the community. Because eventually, as I push them in a positive way, they're going to push the person in front of them. And eventually it's going to come back to me in a bigger way than I ever expected. Hey, have a great day today. Be the best that you can be in all that you do. And make sure that you're in a place to initiate positive results for those around you, and push the circle. This is Lowell White, your host of 360 Mindset Performance Talk at KUHSdenver.com in the great state of Colorado. Have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Saying goodbye for today, and we'll see you next week.
No matter what I'm doing, you can always count on me.
Great to be with you, international crowd. Reach out, KUHSdenver.com. Send us a message.
You can breathe. You can